Hello everybody. I recently returned to my AWI project and finished another regiment. This is painted up to represent Sherbourne's additional regiment as the uniforms would have appeared in 1778 to 1779. And looking online, I found Don Troiani had a painting that shows him that way. And so that's where I got my inspiration for the paint scheme. I kind of picked it partly several reasons. I like the paint colors, and it was something a little bit different. And the other thing was with the Wargames Factory plastic sprues, which is what these are. About 2/3 of them on each sprue have the long coats to represent Continental line infantry. And so then I built all the ones that they had to represent that, and then the other third on the sprues are modeled to represent basically what they were designed to be, represent light infantry. And the difference basically in the sculpts is on the light infantry sculpts they have the short coats. And then let me just pull one out here so you can see it. As you can see in the back, let me zoom in just a little bit on this one guy here. He has the short coat, doesn't have the long tails. And then the other difference is, if you see in the front here, I'll just bring a little more light in there, that's a little better. If you notice in his front midsection there, there's a cartridge box, a belly cartridge box, which a lot of times is what the light infantry would have had. But I'd already painted up 12 light infantry, and I didn't really want a whole bunch more, so I was like, what do I do with all these models? So then, if you see on this picture, this painting depiction has them with the belly cartridge box and the short coat. So I thought, perfect. And then the other thing is that I had to do to modify him slightly to match this, where he's got the knee-length pants as opposed to the long overalls. And these models are actually sculpted with the long overalls. But what I did when I modeled these, I took a small file and kind of from the knee down, I filed out most of the creases that would have represented the folds in the pants, so that then I could paint them as having stockings and the knee-length pants. So that was one of the modifications I did to make them work this way. And then of course the heads are separate, so instead of using the light infantry caps, which they're designed to be used with, I used the tricorn like in the Don Troiani painting. So I think they matched up really quite well. And then the other thing I did, I modified quite a few of the poses. Another nice thing about plastic infantry is that they're so easy. You know, the arms and everything are separate. So I since this was the last regiment that I have figures for in the Warlord Games Liberty or Death box set, I used all the little leftover bits and pieces to create some new poses. And in a few cases, I also made a V cut in the elbows to reposition arms. As you can see, like this guy here on the end, he is an advancing troop. Those are not the arms that go with him, but I think he really makes a dynamic pose. The other ones that were modified on the command stand here, in the light infantry sculpts in the Wargames Factory sprues, they do not have a standard bearer or any musicians. So what I had to do was take a body from the light infantry, and then I used the arms from the Continental Line infantry, and had to do little modifications, a little trimming to get them to fit onto the light infantry bodies, and then glued the drum on. Same thing with the standard bearer there. But I mean, that worked really pretty well. I mean, they look. I was real happy with them, and it didn't take a lot of effort. Again, it was all from shaping, using my hobby knife to trim either the arm or the shoulder where they met to make it position the way I wanted. And then in other cases, I had to make a little V cut in the elbow so that you could bend it a little different, and then glued that into place. The other thing I did on the regimental NCO here, I used the hat from the officer sprue, and so that his right hand has him holding his hat, to also again give a little bit of more variety to the regiments what I've built already. And then the flag, same flags I've been using from Warfare Miniatures USA. It's actually Quindia Studios. I really like those flags. It kind of matches my painting style, and they're not quite as gigantic as like GMB flags, so I feel like they work a little bit better, especially when you got plastic infantry to try to get them to hold them up. I'll show this one just a little closer too, because I did some modifications on this one too. The advancing troops. Unless you're familiar with the actual poses, you might not notice the changes that I've made, but you can see there's quite a bit of variety in this stand of troops, and which was what I was after. So really pleased with how these turned out. Again, I make my own movement trays, magnetize them so that the individual guys can pop out. And the reason I do that is to play different game systems, which actually came in quite handy because, it's probably been a month ago now, but a buddy of mine from the area where I live, we got together and got a game of muskets and tomahawks in, and I was able to use these same figures to use these same figures to play my muskets and tomahawks without doing any rebasing. And since I make the movement trays myself, there was no, if I wanted to rank them differently for other large scale games, I could make it so there was 10 or 4 on a base. I kind of went with 8 because that works with sharp practice, and it works with muskets and tomahawks. And then Land of the Free is the other rule set that I'm looking at using, and basically you need an odd number of stands for your regiments because you want the command stand in the center. A lot of measurements and line of sight and different things are determined by where the command stand is located within the regiment. So that's the other reason I did that. So anyway, there they are, guys. Another regiment done. That's the last of the Continental Infantry for the Liberty or Death box set that I've been working on. The next thing I'm starting on is a second cannon crew for the Continentals. And after I get that done, I'm going to do a command stand for the Continentals. And then that's everything for the Continental side in the box set, and I will be starting on the British side. So anyway, I've really been enjoying this project quite a bit. It's been interesting to learn a little bit more about the history of the era. It's been fun to find out that there's that many different. I always thought that in the Revolutionary War or the American War of Independence, it was all the Continentals were in the blue and the British were in the red, and actually that's not even true on either side. So a lot of neat things. It's a fun project to paint up, and so anyway, I kind of wanted to share what I've done, and I'm happy with how they turned out. And it's fun fun to be back into the historicals again, back into painting miniatures. So anyway, thanks for watching, everybody, and thanks to the few new subscribers, and appreciate all the support and the interaction. Thanks a lot, guys. Hope you enjoyed that. Take care.